Anybody nervous?
All right, welcome everybody. Come on in the room. We are so excited to talk to you today about CARE. We have a phenomenal group of students who are ready to give their experiences with CARE. So come on in the room. Make sure that you share this live. Share this live with your friends, with your family. Copy and paste this. Shoot them the link. Post it on Instagram. We are live. And we're so excited to have y'all here. Before we get into our program, we are going to start with a few introductions. And so I will kick us off, and then I am going to have Terrell follow us along with some of our wonderful students that are going to be here on this night. So, hey everybody, my name is Aisha Delaveau. I am the Assistant Director of Regional Recruitment for Florida State University. I graduated from FSU with a degree in finance, and I have previously served the university as the CARE Summer Ridge Program Coordinator. We're so happy to have you tonight.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Terrell Williams, and I serve as the Program Manager for Diversity and Outreach. I have been in the Office of Admission at Florida State for the past 3 years, and I oversee our CARE application process and assist with recruitment for our university. And I'll have our students introduce themselves. Don't all go at once. Whoever wants to go first can just kind of take a stab at it.
Absolutely. I will kick it off. I am Ashley Gonzalez. I am from Orlando, Florida. I am CARE 19. I am dual degreeing in criminology and international affairs. And I am a part of a few organizations on campus, one of them being I'm part of the Student Senate, where I am the chair of oversight, the vice chair of the Racial Inclusivity and Justice Ad Hoc, as well as the liaison for the Black Student Union and the Veteran Student Union.
All right, I'll go next. Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Lisbon. I am a second-year student from Lakeland, Florida, majoring in finance, and I am also a part of CARE 19. Some organizations that I'm a part of on campus are SISs Incorporated, where I serve as the co-chair for the historian position. I am also a member of Investinol, the Black Future Female Attorneys Society, and I am also a resident assistant in Divinity Hall for the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Living Learning community on campus.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexis. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I'm a senior, so I'm part of CARE 17. I'm double majoring in editing, writing, and media and humanities, and getting a minor in hospitality management. On campus, I'm involved as a university ambassador, and I'm also a part of Greek Life.
Hi, everybody. I'm Quincy Wimberly. I am a CARE 19 student. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. I am a public health major, and I am two organizations. I am in DREAM organization, where we do community service, and I'm also in Minorities in Public Health, where I serve as the treasurer.
My name is Gabriela Saldana. I'm a part of CARE 20. I'm also from Jacksonville. I'm majoring in biomedical engineering on the pre-med track, and I'm a part of ASU, which is Autism Speaks. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I couldn't get involved in much more, but I'm really excited to.
And we have one more student join us. So Shania, you want to take a stab at giving an introduction for us?
Yes, hello, can you hear me? Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Shania Jennings, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a freshman interested in pursuing a degree in clinical psych care at Florida State. And I'm a first generation student currently enrolled at Florida State and in the CARE program. I am also involved in the Black Student Union, National Alliance on Mental Health Illness, National Negro Women's Council, and I serve on the Executive Board of DREAM as historian for the 2020-2021 academic school year.
All right, fantastic. So you all have had an opportunity to hear who is all going to be on your panel on tonight. I'm going to start with a brief overview of what CARE is. If you have any questions for us, we encourage you, post your questions on YouTube. You can post it right there in the chat feature, or you can head over to Instagram. If you're already on Instagram right now, maybe you're on your phone, just go ahead and at FSU.admissions on Instagram, and we're happy to get some of those questions answered for you live. So let's get into what is CARE. So the Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement is designed to motivate, prepare, and recruit traditionally underrepresented and socioeconomically disadvantaged students through a variety of programs and academic support services. It provides access, equity, support, and engagement opportunities through its Summer Bridge program, which is a 7-week summer session for first-time in college students that includes the cost of tuition, fees, housing, meals, and books. There are some really great benefits to CARE, as you will see listed here on your screen. In addition to those benefits, it also includes one-on-one counseling sessions. We have leadership development activities, college life coaching, and even smaller classes in English, math, and some other general education areas. The CARE department also houses a few amazing programs, such as the Unconquered Scholars Program, which is designed for students who were formerly in foster care, who are homeless or unaccompanied youth, students who are wards of the state, or who currently live in relative care, meaning not with mom or dad, with additional resources and support. It also offers amazing student support services in a couple of different tracks. And our STEM track provides those students with additional academic engagement opportunities for any of those students who are majoring in our STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. And then we also have another track that is designed to improve student retention, graduation, financial literacy, and all of our academic success for those students through some engagement and academic opportunities as well. As you will see here, CARE provides those amazing benefits to the Summer Bridge program participants completely free of charge for the summer session only. All of the fees are waived, all of the costs are covered for summer session while those students are enrolled in the program. Students who are admitted through CARE will also receive a pretty deep discount as it relates to fall housing deposit, which is required if you are intending on staying on campus. And so those students have the opportunity to live on campus and pay that deposit of $50 from $225 to secure those. So it sounds like a really great program. There are some minimum requirements that you do have to have. And so you first and foremost have to be a first generation in college student. And what does that mean? We're looking at your biological or adoptive parent information. If your parents have not received a bachelor's degree or higher, you are a first generation student and you are who we're looking for. You also have to have a minimum of a 3.0 weighted GPA. And so we recalculate your your GPAs here at FSU. You also have to have a minimum of a 19 on your ACT or a minimum of a 990 on your SAT. And then you also need to be Pell Grant eligible for 2 aid years. And that's this year, the 2020-2021 aid year, and then the 2021-2022 aid year. And so you do have to complete the FAFSA in order to be considered for those programs. So y'all, you learned a little bit about CARE. We're gonna hop right into our Q&A session. Terrell is gonna be our lovely moderator for this evening. If you have any questions, be sure to post those questions on the chat and YouTube, or you can just at us on Instagram, and we're happy to get your questions answered, okay?
Thank you for that, Sage. So we're going to dive right into our panel and get them engaged in this conversation. So the first question is going to be a gimme for you all. So what was the reason that led you to select Florida State as your university for that term of entry? So whoever wants to take a stab at it can go first. So it looks like Gabriella has her hand raised, so we'll let Gabriella take over.
I selected Florida State as my first choice and as my attending college. Because during my junior year, I was in a time where I didn't really know what I was doing, where most people would be figuring out things with their college. I was just figuring out life. I thought the best I could do was go to a local college near me. And I never thought I could do something more, go to a bigger college, or I always limited myself to something close to home. I never thought I could do more. And I met Terrell actually at my high school at a college fair, and I ran a club for girls with his sister, who was a teacher at my high school. And I talked to him, and he was like, well, what's going on? And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, you have more potential than you're giving yourself. I felt like this was the first university that actually spoke to me. It wasn't something that I wanted to accommodate for, or not accommodate for, but settle for. I felt like FSU as well as CARE actually, really cared about me. They cared about their students. They wanted to provide direction. They wanted to provide support, and the support really is what drew me to FSU. So that's what, like having someone like provide hope. I find that a lot, even as a student attending FSU, not even as just like a high schooler. I find like there's a lot of like potential for growth. There's a lot of support and just encouragement.
I'll go next. I chose the FSU simply because of the CARE program in itself. When I was a senior and I was deciding on which colleges I wanted to attend, I took a tour to for FAMU and FSU with a program back from my hometown. And so when I was here, I didn't know that we were taking a CARE tour. I thought we were just taking a regular FSU campus tour. And I realized how much support and how many resources CARE provides for their students to not feel like they're alone on campus. Especially being a first generation student, you don't know all the resources that you have. You don't really know much about financial aid and how and who to reach out to, and CARE provides that for you. They give you a hand so that you aren't just out here wondering, like, what do I do, asking so many people for help and not getting the right answer, when you can just go to the CARE lab and somebody will direct you in the right place. And I really appreciated that from the CARE program, because if being a first generation student, like I was saying, I just would have been out here on my own. So especially being at a PWI on top of that, and being a person of color, a Black woman especially, you need that help, and CARE is providing that help for me.
I'll go next. So I chose CARE because I felt like there was no other school that would help me personally. And I chose CARE. Well, I really chose FSU for CARE because me being a first generation student, it was like, okay, CARE was there to not only like, help me financially, but they also helped me mentally. Like, they help my mental health a lot. CARE is a great support system. Everyone in the department, I feel like, has my back. Like, I'm so glad that I'm in CARE. I really am.
Anybody else want to share their reason for selecting Florida State?
And then also, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, but when I first applied, I did not get accepted because my test scores weren't high enough. But because I am so determined and so, like, I just have to do, like, try my best every day. Like, I always try to put my best foot forward. But I applied again, but instead, like, I wrote an appeal. And if it weren't for Mr. Williams, I don't know, like, where I would be. Like, he's the reason that I am here at Florida State. So that just show you that, like, hard work does pay off, and when you really want something, you are going to try your hardest to get it.
You're gonna make me
Yeah,
laugh.
for sure. I think everything was said. I think CARE, the support system is unmatched, that CARE provides. It starts from even the hiring process for people who are going to be in CARE, all the way until you're in it and you're a student worker and you're expected to care about the students. You're expected to offer that help. So I think that's definitely unmatched. I know FSC was always my favorite. I've always loved, like, the color maroon. So it was definitely just a no choice for me. I knew I wanted to come here.
All right, so we'll dive into some of the questions that are coming in through the chat. So this is actually more of an admissions question. So Saisha, me and you can take a stab at this one. If we will be submitting the CARE application, can I still submit my FSU application via the Common App?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So how you actually complete the CARE application is through your initial application. So if you're using the Common App or any of our applications, because we do have 3 different ways that you can apply. If you're using the Common or Coalition applications, you do have to identify that you are interested in CARE. And so how you do that is in the financial information. You will see one question. The question is going to ask you, are you interested in applying for CARE? If you are indeed interested in applying for CARE, then absolutely select yes on that option and then continue on with your application. If you qualify for CARE based off of your initial application, you will receive the CARE supplemental application, which is going to show up on your application status check. So you do not complete the application on Common or Coalition. You actually complete this through your application status check, and that is a link that you're going to receive through your email. So make sure you keep an eye on your email so that you can get into your application status check so that you can complete that CARE supplemental application. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should definitely visit care.fsu.edu. You can actually put /apply. If you select that or you go to that website, you will see everything you need to know about applying for CARE. It'll walk you through the steps. It'll also give you the supplemental application questions that you will need to be ready to answer. So you actually only apply one way, and that's through your initial application. How you complete your profile for Florida State, and I call it a file because there may be additional documentations for depending on the person, but specifically for CARE, you will get a supplemental application via your application status check.
Thank you for the answer. So it looks like you've answered a lot of those questions because everybody had questions about how do I apply to CARE. So we were able to fix that. So like she said, you're going to apply through the general application. There's going to be a question to ask you, are you interested in applying to CARE? Indicate yes, and then the application will appear on your application status check. Now we do have another question that says, I noticed that we have to self-report all ACT and or SAT test scores by November 1st, but I don't take my SAT until November 7th. And I also haven't reported a score yet. Can I still apply for the program?
Absolutely. You can absolutely apply. CARE, the application deadline for CARE is actually on December 1st. December 1st. Okay, I'm going to say that slow again. December 1st. Please complete your applications by December 1st. Florida State is taking extra care. We do understand that test scores and testing has been quite the challenge this year. And so if you are testing, we will give you the opportunity to self-report your test scores until the end of this year to meet our December 1st priority deadline. So again, complete everything you can, control the controllables. Do not allow yourself to get sidetracked just because of a test score. You will get those test scores and then you will self-report those, but I need you all to complete everything you possibly can by December 1st. That is going to be our best bet at being able to review your applications for admissions into CARE, okay? It's also our priority deadline, just in case we have that question. And so we do give priority admissions consideration for those students who apply by December 1st. And so that gives you priority consideration for admissions as well as scholarships. And it will also give you an additional opportunity to apply, be amongst the first to apply for housing, because you do have to be admitted to the university in order to apply for housing. So December 1st is the deadline that you do want to meet. It's also the deadline for any of our special programs. So for any of you who are considering film, if you are considering our College of Music, anything that's going to be performance based, and anything within our College of Fine Arts, such as dance, studio art, theater, if that's going to be you, you do want to make sure that you apply by December 1st, along with honors as well. So just make sure you get those applications in by December 1st. Y'all have plenty of time. Plenty of time. And I say that with caution because I know some of y'all are going to procrastinate. Please don't let that be you. Treat December 1st like it's next week, okay? And get your applications done and completed by then.
Thank you, Sasha. So we're going to dive right back into our student panel. Have another question for you all. Could you all talk about what you wish you had known going into your application process for college and kind of sharing that kind of piece of advice because students are going through a unique time right now? You can go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you. So I think for me, it was about being transparent. I wish I knew how I think valued it is, your experience besides your academics. I say this all the time. Terrell, you're probably tired of me saying this, but like I was always a big academics person. And so I never put value into what I had lived through and how that affected my academics and how that affected where I wanted to go. So I think that's very big, especially coming into CARE, is about being transparent, especially with your CARE application and saying, this is what I've been through and this is why I am the best person for this seat and for this program. So I think I wish I would have known to be more vulnerable, because there is a very great strength and vulnerability, especially as it relates to a program like this that builds off of family and builds off of relationship and builds off of that experience.
Anybody else want to talk about their experience of applying? Because I know some of you are CARE 20 and some of you are CARE 19, so this is very recent for you all going through this process. You can go ahead, Quincy.
So my application process was, it was pretty good. I mean, I got help from Terrell, of course. It helped me get into it. So it made the transition of applying during my senior year very easier. Like Ashley said, it's definitely good to put your heart into your application. They want to see who you are, not just what you're putting on the application. So.
And I'll add to Ashley and Quincy. So when you're applying for, the CARE program, we want to see like what type of, life challenge that you have experienced. So as a first generation student, that is a life challenge that you may not think is a major deal, but that's something that we want to hear about. So you may be limited in terms of your, economic advancement, maybe limited in terms of your family stability. So we want to hear about those stories, but not just hear about it. We want to hear about how you responded to that situation. So we want to hear about your resilience. What plans did you put in place to make sure that you are the one to, change your family narrative, and also the one to go off to college and, be that college graduate. So now your kids are in a better position to be, privileged when they're moving forward in terms of their career. So, that process is fairly simple, but we are here to assist you in that process. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to our office and we will guide you through the process. So right now it's a virtual world. So if you want to schedule a Zoom call with me or say Aisha, we can do that and kind of walk you through that process of applying to Florida State. So we'll dive right back into the questions. So we have another one that says, what is the average stats for the program? I think they probably joined a little later. So Sasha, can you talk about the stats for the CARE program?
So are we talking, I'm going to assume we're talking stats as in regards to requirements?
Yeah, so like academic requirements.
Yeah, so in regards to academics, in order to be considered for CARE, you do have to have a minimum 3.0 GPA. We do recalculate GPAs at Florida State, so I'm sure that question probably came in there, unweighted versus weighted, anything like that. We actually recalculate FSU GPAs. You also have to have a minimum of a 19 on your ACT or a 990 on your SAT. And so in terms of academics, those are the minimum requirements that you have to be considered. I do want to keep in mind that just because you meet our minimum requirements, it does not guarantee that you are going to be admitted into the program. Okay, I want to make sure that you all know that, because again, based off of what the students here have explained to you, they put a lot of value into their life story. And so that supplemental application is really going to be key if you're considering admissions. But again, we can't really work with you until you meet those minimum requirements. So definitely make sure that you are on par and on track with those minimum requirements in regards to academics.
Thank you, Sasha. So we have a very specific question here. It says, if I want to work during the school year, will CARE limit the amount I work? So this is a very specific question, but Sasha, I know you have experience being a summer bridge coordinator, so maybe you can, help the student in terms of, their working schedule.
Absolutely. And I'm sure some of the other students here, because I do know that some of them may take on some additional duties in regards to working on campus. But during Summer Bridge, let's start there. You are not permitted to work during the Summer Bridge program. Like I stated before, for those of you who are joining us, if you're admitted into Summer Bridge, it is completely covered. So you have no fees to pay during the summer. You have also no reason to work. The students who are involved in 2019 especially can let you know how involved the Summer Bridge program actually is. There is no room to actually have a job, because let me just tell you, our focus in CARE is your success. And so you cannot do that focusing on work and beyond with those things. So I promise you, you do not have to worry about working during summer bridge, during that summer session. Please do not even consider it. After that, it really just depends on your class schedule. Of course, we want you to put academics first. Student involvement definitely can come after that, because again, our primary focus for you is your success in graduation. Getting you to the graduation finish line is going to be most important for us. And so your work schedule is really going to depend on you. I encourage applying for work study first via your FAFSA application. That's probably going to be the first and best thing that you can do. CARE also provides additional opportunities to have employment on campus. And so if you're admitted into CARE, I encourage you to get real snuggly and cuddly with the staff. We do look out for the students in CARE, and any one of these students can certainly explain that to you and the brevity of that. And then also, it really just depends on where you're trying to work. If you absolutely have to work, I would encourage you that same effort that you want to put into getting a full-time job or a part-time job of some sort, put that same tenacity and work ethic into looking for scholarship opportunities, because I promise you, and I tell everybody this that I speak to, that an undergraduate degree is free, okay? An undergraduate degree is free. It's just how bad do you want it? There's millions of dollars available to you in scholarship money. You do not have to work. I promise you, you don't. It's really just your work ethic and how bad you want it. But CARE really doesn't interfere with that after summer bridge program. It's really, our primary focus is your academics, and we do watch that, and we do make sure that we're checking in with you in regards to your academics. And so we do find out if it slips, and we will contact you. So just make sure academics are first, and our hands are out of your hair.
Gotcha. I know we have some students on our panel that have some experience working on campus after their first summer bridge. So can you all talk about that process? I know, Faith, you mentioned that you are a residence assistant. I know, Ashley, you work within the CARE department. So can you all talk about that process of working and how you're able to balance work and school?
I'll talk about being a resident assistant. Well, first I'll talk about the summer. During the summer, once you first get to CARE, you literally have no time to work. You're on a strict deadline and a strict schedule with CARE. Like, you're constantly doing something. So there's no time for you to be thinking about working, because CARE has your back. Like, they're not going to let you fall. They're not going to let you slip, whether it's financial wise. Like, if you're struggling with anything, you talk to CARE, you talk to the directors, you talk to your ambassadors, whoever it is, because CARE has your back always. In regards to working on campus, I work for University Housing as a residence assistant. I would not recommend working unless you have got time management down pat. If you do not know anything about time management, if you don't even know, if this is the first time you're hearing about time management, look into what time management is, because you're on a strict schedule, you're on a strict deadline all the time in regards to when things are due, planning events. And then also, if you're trying to get involved on campus, time management will be your best friend, because academics come first. And then if you're trying to balance having a good social life on campus and working at the same time, trying to make money, you need to have a good time management schedule on you, so that you're not falling behind and lacking in anything that's really important, because education comes first. You're at FSU for a reason, and that is to get your degree at the end of the day. So getting your degree comes first before anything.
Yeah, for sure. So I think for me, I'm honestly not a good example, because I do work a lot, but it's also because I work with CARE. So I love being, I used to be the director's assistant. Now I just work within CARE, but I absolutely love being in CARE, just because you get to make so many relationships, and it's just a really, really special place to work in. And that's probably going to be your first job, honestly. I feel like probably everybody here has worked at CARE, has done something for CARE. So I think it definitely does come down to, it depends on what lifestyle you're kind of trying to live. I'm very involved, but I also do work a lot. So it just depends, but that's also because I love going out, and so I need money to go out. So it just depends, really. But I just suggest doing something that you really like, so it doesn't feel like a job, even now, because to me, working at CARE is not a job for me. It's just something that I love to do.
Thank you both for sharing. I know you all are involved on our campus, and CARE students tend to be the most involved students on campus because CARE does, encourage you to be involved, because once you're involved, you get to network, you get to build relationships, and that does help you in your undergraduate career, but not only in undergraduate, but also in your post undergraduate career. So if you want to get a job, if you want to go into graduate school, med school, they do help you with letters of recommendation, that kind of stuff. So being involved is a very beneficial thing for students on our campus. So Sage, I have another twofold question this time, but it's more so about FAFSA. So the first part is, how do I report my FAFSA to my application? And then the second part is, how long does it take before the check appears once you submit the FAFSA?
That's a great question. I'm sure everybody is trying to figure that out. The way that you get your FAFSA to us and a part of your application is you actually have to send it to us. And so you do have to identify that you would like your FAFSA sent to Florida State. Okay, so you do need to make sure that you do that on your FAFSA application. If you haven't, you can always go back in and get it sent to Florida State. So make sure that you do that. The second part of that question is the check, right? Everybody worry about the money. You're actually not going to find out your award package until after you've first been admitted to the university. So the first thing first is you need to apply by December 1st. Then you need to get your admissions decision, okay? And then you will be able to view your financial aid award package. That's not going to come until after you've actually been admitted to the university. Okay. And then once you do that, then I'm going to need you to pop on over to CARE and then talk about money management, because we're going to need to help you with that. Because since you're worried about the check, we already know where the premise of this conversation is going to go. So go ahead and pop on over to CARE and talk about money management, because we're going to need you to handle that fast. All right.
Definitely. And also another thing with FAFSA. So on your application, you have to indicate your social security number, so we can actually link your FAFSA. So your FAFSA and your application are going to go hand in hand. And also on your application status check, that green check mark will appear once it's been processed. So you should see that within the next couple of weeks. If you're still experiencing issues going into November, I would just inform you to contact our financial aid office, and they'll kind of let you know what's going on with your FAFSA. All right, we got some more questions coming in the chat now. So it says, got another question. So does regular admission and CARE admissions review our applications? So I guess they're asking, like, who reviews our applications?
Great question. So yes, answer is both. Both of the departments on campus do review your application. Terrell and I actually have the pleasure of reviewing CARE applications in the admissions office. And so yes, the simple answer is yes. The complicated answer is understand that you being able to, one, know about CARE and how CARE can ultimately assist you is what's going to be important in your application. Because I will promise you that if you're not able to articulate those things, it is going to be very hard for you to get admitted into CARE, because that is a really big part of why we admit students is the need for the resources and the program in and of itself. So you have to be able to articulate that story and why CARE, why you need CARE, why CARE is going to be able to help you. And as you can see from the student stories before, if you were here a bit earlier, you would know that it's really important to be able to know how to articulate that and find the value in your story. That's going to be a very, very important piece to the application process.
Gotcha. And we have another question kind of ties into that, kind of a great segue for this question. It said, what could lower your chances of getting into the CARE program?
Giving me a one-word answer, plain and simple. Okay, that ain't gonna cut it. And we can tell y'all, we can tell if you know about CARE. We can tell what your ultimate goals are with CARE. And what I can tell you is, if you are running after CARE for the financial piece, this is not the program for you. Okay, this is not it. And we can absolutely tell that. So what you need to do to increase your chances is understand what CARE is, what the Summer Bridge program provides, and ultimately how it can assist you on your journey to and through higher education. Okay, so that's going to be important.
And me and Saisha have seen the best applications and we've seen the worst applications. So we have a wealth of knowledge in terms of what we're looking for. So if you have any questions, okay, how can I build my outline for my CARE responses? You can reach out to us and we can kind of let you know what we're looking for and how you can kind of build that. But that kind of segues into our next part. So I do have a question for the panelists. Someone says, when did you guys begin writing your essays for CARE? So you all can take a stab at it. I know some of you are more recent, but some of you are older. So if you kind of want to talk about that process of writing your CARE essay.
I can talk about sorry.
If you want it, you got it.
Okay, sorry, I'll go quick.
You're good.
I can talk about mine. So basically, I'm a senior, so this was like a really long time ago. But I remember I started like really early, and I really recommend this. I had my essay done, but I didn't have my application done. And I know we talked about this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Do your application as early as possible. I was the person that was at 11:59 trying to get it in, and I was like freaking out, calling the admissions office. So definitely do everything early. But I had my essay early, and I had someone actually help me write it. And looking back, I always laugh because I wrote about something very, very stupid, and I'm like, how did I even get in for this stupid essay? But I guess it was good enough. But definitely just like have someone like help you with it. I know your teachers and stuff probably tell you all the time, like peer review, like ask your friends, ask your mom, ask your dad, ask your teachers, ask whoever, just have somebody look at it for you. I feel like it can't hurt. And definitely like give yourself time so you can really reflect on what you're writing. Like they said before, like, you know, your essay is kind of a big part, and like your essay and your questions are a big part in your admission to CARE. So I think it's very important to like, if you're going to take time on anything, definitely take time on that.
I started writing my essay probably about like a month before applications opened. And it was really hard for me to start writing. Like, I love to write, so it was super weird. I just think it was the stress. So I changed my topic probably about 3 times. And as soon as the applications opened, I immediately started writing. And it took me about like a month and a half to finally revise and get in my essay. And I submitted my application before my essay, because if you're an incoming student or an applicant, you can definitely submit your application and then go back and add your essay. And that's what I did. I took my time with it. It's definitely a very stressful time, because when you're in high school, you have these 4 years and everyone builds you up for this moment, you know, and everyone tells you write about something meaningful. And it's so easy to lose track of that and write about something that's on the surface. And my problem was going really deep inside of me and just finding something that motivated me, that changed my life. And I really recommend taking a moment, like moving aside all the stress you have from school and everything else, and just finding that one thing that moves you and writing about that. I had a lot of support from Terrell. I had a lot of support from my friends, teachers at my school, and I think just taking that time to know myself and working so hard on my essay, like in revising and changing my topics, like that's what helped me a lot. And I highly recommend just taking the time you need and then submitting.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something me and Terrell are Facebook friends, and he had this conversation a couple of days ago about how it's difficult for us as first generation, as someone who I guess is used to the environment that you grow up in, to kind of identify what that is that caused you to, I guess, struggle or caused you to look at life a different way. And so I think it's for advice for you all is to kind of dig deep and understand that although it feels normal, although your situation feels normal, although, you know, you've learned how to handle this super well and you are on the path to success, there are things that you did have to overcome. And I think there's a true power in identifying what those were and how you handle that. And I think that's what CARE is always looking for. And so for me, when I was preparing, I kind of had to look at those like big moments in my life where I was like, wow, like this definitely changed the entire pathway of my life. And so like one of those things was moving from New York. I was born in New York, to Florida, you know, because CARE is only for Florida residents. So if I had never moved, I would never be in CARE. I would never probably be at FSU either. So I think it's identifying those key moments in your life and kind of realizing how that affects you.
Thank you all for sharing. So yeah, so in that essay, it's really about, identifying something. And as a reviewer, we want to see something that's more recent. So we don't want to see something that happened like when you were 7 or 8 years old that didn't linger. It just happened 1 year and it was over. We want to focus more so on your high school career. Like what happened over the last 4 years that you've observed, or you've noticed that really impacted you and made you want to go to college, or really triggered something in you that made you, more motivated or more encouraged to take that jump and go to college. So focus on more so your high school years. You all are, of the graduation class of 2021, you going through one of the most traumatic experiences in history, but you are a part of the most resilient class ever because you're adapting on the fly. So you're learning more about these technologies. You're learning more about yourselves and learning more how much you can do in that particular setting. So you can, focus more so on the pandemic and how it's, exposed different things to you in terms of, technology, in terms of access, in terms of all these inequities that you may be experiencing. So you can focus on the pandemic, and that will help you in terms of that life challenge because it's a more recent thing that you're going through, and we can hear about that. So diving more so into the application status check. So Saisha, do we have to upload all residency proof documents by December 1st to be considered for CARE?
Great question. I actually got that question earlier today. We encourage you to have all of that in by December 1st. That's going to be your best opportunity to make sure that nothing is missed. So I'm going to say, yes, have it in. Please have it in. If you find yourself running into difficulties, I think the best thing for you to do is to communicate that with us. We want to help you. We want to make sure that we can provide additional assistance in some of these areas that we can, but we can't do that without communication. And so please, y'all, try your best to get it in December 1st. Please, please, please. If you find yourself running into a difficulty that is out of your control and you just haven't like everything is stacked against you, please reach out to the admissions office. Some of you, we'll probably share that information toward the end, so definitely stay on the call. But admissions@fsu.edu, that's one way that you can reach us for sure. So please just communicate that with us, but get it in by December 1st. Please get it in by December 1st. Y'all have time, so please get it in by December 1st.
Thank you for that, Saisha. So we have some questions flowing in now. So it says, where would I be able to book a one-on-one Zoom session for the application process?
Yeah, so I'm gonna share our contact information with you around the time that we're wrapping up. So definitely stay on the live with us. We'll post that information, but you can always reach out to admissions@fsu.edu. We are always happy to try to get somebody in our office. Terrell and I specifically, I'm going to share our information along with one other of our colleagues and how you can get in contact with CARE. But definitely stay on the live for that. You don't want to miss that contact information.
Definitely don't want to miss that. So another question that came in, if you're accepted into the CARE Summer Bridge program, after the summer term, do we have to pay for school or do you guys still cover it?
Even better question. So yes, school still needs to be somewhat covered. There are additional requirements that you do have to complete as you matriculate through Florida State if you are a CARE participant. And so some of those things, and the students will probably touch on it later, is making sure that, one, your academics are on par, because if we have to chase you for your academics, it's going to be very difficult for us to assist you further financially. Most of the students in recent years have received up to 75% of the cost of attendance covered. It's especially wonderful for students who are Bright Futures students. And so know those requirements, know the eligibility for Bright Futures. It is phenomenal. But yes, you can continue to get additional resources and support as it relates to financial support, but you need to do what you need to do. Don't make us chase you. It's not gonna look good for you. But we do assist further. Yes.
Gotcha. And I know we have some students in here. So could you all talk about like the participation requirements? Because I know you have to complete a CARE participation agreement. So in that participation agreement, it tells you what you need to do. So can you all talk about what things you do within CARE that are participatory and what could happen if you don't participate in CARE?
I can touch on that a bit. Especially as a first year student, some of the CARE requirements that you have are getting, well, I know when we were CARE 19, our CARE summer, you had to get care hours. And care hours are you going to the care lab swiping in, or you're going to the library swiping in and getting study hours to make sure that you're spending at least 10 hours a week studying for your classes. Also, you were to attend a certain amount of events that CARE would post. CARE sends out a CARE newsletter every week, I believe. It should be every week. You get a CARE newsletter, and in that CARE newsletter, there are a list of events that you can attend that will satisfy some of those CARE requirements, and it will update you on what the CARE requirements are for your class. So for CARE 19, we're second year students, we get updated on what the second year requirements are. First year students, you get updated on what the first year requirements are, and so on.
Thank you for sharing that, Faith. So we have a follow-up question to that one, which is more so about COVID. So we know we have some CARE 20 students that just completed the summer bridge program. And the question is, how are you doing the summer bridge program with the restrictions from COVID this year? So with CARE 20 students here, you guys can just share your experience of how you did the CARE summer bridge program this year, and the challenge you may experience and how you got to overcome those challenges this past summer. You want to take a stab at it, Shania?
Gabriella can go first.
Thank you. So I'm CARE 20, and with COVID and campus not really being up, I stayed home for the summer as well as the fall. For the summer bridge program, we were assigned 3 classes. For me, I had 2 general care classes as well as 1 FSU class that fulfilled one of my requirements for my major. So I think one of the classes I took were diversity and injustice, as well as Dr. Stark's class, which was just a major care class, and it was super fun. These classes are great. If we were on campus, it would definitely be different. There would be a lot of more in-person. But for the summer, it was 7 weeks of almost daily Zooms, checking in. You have a care ambassador. Typically, you guys have a group me, which you group message every day. You have questions. You do one-on-one checks with your care ambassador as if it were in person. And I believe you do it weekly just to touch base and to see how you're doing as well as your progress in your classes. Honestly, even not being, at least for the summer, it's definitely different in the fall, but for summer classes, like the summer bridge care program, I definitely had a lot of support, whether it came from tutoring, my care ambassador, my care group, Dr. Stark's classes, Professor Jordan's classes for diversity and injustice. There was definitely a lot of support, and for me, at least, that's how my summer went. And I just dealt with it by sitting on Zoom most of my day, but I still enjoyed it because I was learning from my peers who were in similar situations I was in, whether it be COVID or being first gen or, doing assignments for these classes. You still bond with people over the Zooms, you learn a lot. It was definitely great.
Shania, did you want to add anything about your experience this past summer?
Yes, what I was gonna say was that transitioning from being on in in-person classes, and then all of a sudden it's now everything is online. It was hard, but I was still able to persevere. And it was, yeah, it was hard adapting. It's because it's you're adapting to a new way of learning, so it was different, not being in a classroom setting. But and also over the summer I moved to Tallahassee, so it was a lot of stuff that changed for me, but I persevered, kept doing what needed to be done, and now I'm here. I love Tallahassee. I love my care group, and it's going good for me so far.
Thank you for sharing, both of you. I know it was a very difficult transition, but you all are making it through, and we are providing that support for you all to make sure that you're staying on top of everything on our university. A few more questions coming in. So if you get into care for the summer bridge program, will you be in care all 4 years? So the answer to that is yes. So you're going to be a care student for all 4 years. So you're going to start within the summer bridge program, and you're going to transition directly into the fall term. Like we mentioned earlier, there are some participation requirements you need to complete to remain in care and receive your care grant. And then you're going to transition to that sophomore year, that junior year, then your senior year, you're going to graduate as a care student. Another question that came in: how many students make up the care program?
Ooh, that's a great question. So let me just give you some background on that. So this past year we had over 6,000 applications for care, right? Within those applications, we are able to admit a good amount of them in terms of admissions for participation. So this year we had about 600 students admitted into the program. Typically in the summers, students who accept us, right? Because we admit you, but then you have to accept us. That's a two-part relationship there. And so we've had on average about 410 students per year in the last few years who to participate in the summer bridge program.
And there's a lot of things that go into the review process for care. So a lot of students express interest into Florida State or to care, but there's a lot of things that kind of weeds them out. Some students may not be first generation, some students may not be Pell eligible, and some students may not meet the academic or the written requirement. So that's why the particular number does drop down to that 600 number, and then we tend to enroll about 400 students per year. Another question, this is kind of same question. So if a relative went to college or a relative has been in care, are we still able to apply?
It just depends, right? Depends on if that relative is your mom or dad, okay? That's the only one that we're looking at. We're only looking at your biological or adoptive parents, folks. And so even with the first generation status, the only thing that would disqualify you in regards to like relative education is your parents. So we have plenty of siblings who have come through care. We have sets of twins who have come through care. We have distant cousins who have come through care. They're related. However, the one thing that we're looking for that would qualify you for care is if your parents, so your biological or your adoptive parents, have not obtained a bachelor's degree or higher, then you will be considered for the summer bridge program as a first generation student. So just your parent information. Anybody else could come, anybody else.
And it makes it easier for us when you already have a sibling in care, because we would know your financial information because they've already did the FAFSA the year before. So it makes it easier for us to kind of already know your particular situation. So that sibling does still make you eligible for care. We have another student that says, I'm not a first generation student. Can I still apply for care?
You could apply. However, Terrell was talking about being weeded out, and that's one thing that would weed you out is if you are not a first generation student, you would then not be eligible to participate in care.
So care is strictly for first generation students. But I know there's different programs and services within care that students do connect with. So if you are, may not be a first generation student, but you see something, hey, I want to, get advantage in terms of the computer lab, or I see one of my friends in care, you can still, venture to the care building on campus and kind of connect with your friends, but you won't be labeled as a care student. I have another question. Can you give me some advice? I'm a junior and I'm really involved in my community organizations, but my GPA went down my sophomore year because of a traumatic event in my life. I'm trying to boost my GPA now. So could you all just talk about, provide any advice for this student about how they could overcome that sophomore year and, what they can let us know in terms of their application?
One advice that I would give is use that story to your advantage, because there are a lot of people that don't have that same story as you. And as long as you're a junior now, so and it's the fall semester, so you have time to bring that GPA up. So bring that GPA up, use that story to your advantage to show that you are resilient and determined to get an education and to continue to pursue something greater than the circumstances that you are dealt with right now.
And just to follow up with Faith on that response, actually do better in your academics, okay? So don't think you can use that story and there is no call to action behind you using that story. You actually need to do better in your academics, because then that will give you a lot more weight than just saying, oh, I did poorly in my sophomore year, and then junior year comes around and you have a full year right now to really make it up and get those A's and be more aggressive in your study habits and your work ethic. So don't just stop at the story, do something.
Definitely. So I wanted to add to that too, Sasha. So with us reviewing your application, we are looking for your grade trends. So we're looking for something that may have happened in 9th or 10th grade, but how did you respond? So that's really what we're focusing on, because we know adversity happens in your life. And, life is 90% about what happens. Well, 90% about, how you respond to that particular adversity. So we want to figure out how you responded. So right now you're in your junior year. So of course we want to make sure that you're doing well in your junior year, because that tells us a story that you were able to overcome that particular obstacle. Make sure you're doing well during your junior year. That will automatically boost your GPA, because getting those A's and B's does help you out in the particular long run. And another question that came in: would including things such as beliefs or religion in your essay opt you out?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is not something that we consider in our review process at all. And I'll give you a little insight on our review process. Is FSU has an extremely holistic review process. In general, there isn't just one factor that's going to admit you, and there isn't just one factor that is going to disqualify you from being admitted to the university. So we look at your academic trends, we look at your essay and your resume, and in some of that content, like what was shared earlier that Terrell mentioned too, is just like, what is the story? We look at your trends, we look at what's following behind those things. We also have some landscape data. And so we look at what's offered at your school and what you're actually taking advantage of in those particular ways. And so what do you have access to? And just because you have access to it doesn't mean that you're always utilizing it. So we want to see that. And then we also look at hardships and economic times, whether they be medical hardships or economic hardships as well. And so we're considering those. Nowhere in there do we consider if your religion, just because you are of a certain prefix or with a particular group, it does not play a role in our admissions process at all.
Nope. And I know with the essay, there are 11 topics you can choose from. And with the CARE responses, it's 4 short answer questions that every student has to answer. So they're more specific on the CARE responses, but with the essay, you can write about one of those topics. Or if you have something that you really want to touch on, you can write about that in your essay. Now, this is another question for our panel. It says, in reference to the social aspects of CARE, how did networking help you guys so far in your college career? You can go ahead, Alexis.
Sorry, I was having technical difficulties with my computer, so I had to switch to the phone. But yeah, so definitely being in CARE has helped me a lot. So first of all, my summer C friends, like I said, I'm a senior. So this was, CARE 17 was a while ago already. Like my friends that I made that summer are like still my best friends to this day, like without a doubt. Still talk to them all the time, like still reminisce about CARE summer because we just had like so much fun. But definitely like the networking has helped me so much because I like see and run into people all the time that maybe I didn't talk to that much, but we lived together in the same dorm or residence hall. We, ate together at the same times. Like we were doing the same CARE requirements and things like that all the time. So we still kind of know each other. So it's just been nice to always like see people, like have like a familiar face, even if it's just passing by them on campus. I actually, like I said before, I'm a university ambassador with the Office of Admissions. And I actually got my job because one of some guy that I knew that was like in my CARE summer was already working there. And I was like, hey, like, where are you working? Like, I kind of wanted to get a job on campus. And he like sent me the information and I was able to get a job just because I responded to his Snapchat story. So it was really, and I've been working here for 3 years and I absolutely love it. So I feel like that's helped me. And there's just so many different ways that it's helped me, whether it be academically or like socially or professionally in this way.
Yeah, definitely. Networking is very beneficial to you. I was in between majors when the pandemic happened, so I was just trying to figure out what do I want to do and what do I want to major in, and networking definitely helped me. got me into contact with the right people and helped me determine what I want to do in life. And like she said as well, places are very good on campus. You can get references for jobs and other opportunities like that. So it's very easy to network with people once you get on campus or through Zoom during this pandemic. But networking is key. Definitely take advantage of that opportunity.
For sure. Like I said, I'm in SGA and the pathway to SGA. So just to kind of give you guys context, I ran for my Senate seat with, I think it was like 7 other CARE kids, and we all won. And the current Senate president is a CARE kid. So I think like just having those relationships with CARE people is super huge, especially when it comes to Senate. Because I literally like one of my best friend is the president. So it's like, and that's because of CARE. You know, I would not have came up to him. I would not have even talked to him if I didn't see him around the CARE office. So it takes it definitely, you know, just a relationship is established just because you're in CARE together, even if you don't know each other. So the networking is a huge aspect of CARE.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
oh, go ahead, Faith. I'm sorry.
What I was gonna say was that networking, I feel like it is very important. I have a older sister that goes to Florida State, and she has a line sister that is in Dream, and she is the one that, you know, was basically telling them about me. So it's always good to network, because no matter, you could be in any situation, you know, and then someone's like, oh, like, you know her, and they're like, oh yeah, like I like you never know, like certain people are put in your life for a reason, and sometimes those people are the people that are going to help you get to the next level, and like with your goals and everything. So yeah, she actually helped me with Dream, because like now I'm not only in Dream, but I'm on the e-board. Obviously it was because, you know, my hard work and everything, but the networking aspect does help.
To add a few more things, I would say with networking, especially with CARE, like the people in CARE know you before you know the people in CARE.
Yeah.
Like Terrell knew me before I knew
That's
who Terrell was. And like anytime I need anything, I text Terrell and like ask him like, oh, what should I do about this? Like, can we talk? Can we meet up? And also using your friends, your peers, and CARE to your advantage, because as a resident assistant, you have to have resources. You are a resource for your students. So anytime my residents need anything, I always use my CARE peers to my advantage whenever they need it. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody else that knows the answer. So just with networking through CARE, I always have somebody to rely on, no matter if I don't know the answer, no matter what.
So the main common theme, I just want y'all to realize this, if you're listening to all these students and all the access they have created for themselves, is they went out and they sought after these opportunities. CARE is going to provide it for you, you all. It is going to be the well of resource. It is, but we cannot make you drink the water, okay? And so these particular students have gotten a taste of the water, and so much so that they have quenched their thirst with it. So we can't make you do any of these things, but CARE will help you. It will absolutely help you with this. So just make sure you keep that in mind as you're matriculating through this process, even after you get admitted into Summer Bridge, that you go as far as you want to go. Okay.
Definitely. So we got a few more questions coming. I know we're wrapping up. So we have a question about community service. So how many hours of community service should we have by the time we apply?
So that's a great question. There isn't necessarily a golden number of how many hours of service you should have. What we do want to see is that you're serving, your community. It doesn't necessarily matter what you're doing, as long as it's meaningful to you. And so, that's really what we want to see. We want to see that you're able to participate in community service. Don't hold that much weight on that, because I do know that there are some students out there who aren't able to service their community in that way. And sometimes some of you might have to work, or maybe you have to maybe there's something restricting you in that way. And so I don't want the other students to feel left out, because we do understand that those things happen. So there isn't necessarily a requirement on a number. If you do it, great. If you don't have the opportunity to do that, then let us know some way. And you can do that through your essay and what are the other things that you're able to participate while you're in high school. So don't get hung up on the number.
Definitely. I know with, Bright Futures, there's a certain number that you need for community service hours. So that may be your minimum, but you can go over that number. So there's no limitations, like Sage said, on how many community service hours you can have. We got a few more questions wrapping up soon. So it says, if the Common App essay topic is the same as the CARE essay topic, can you use the same essay?
You can use the same essay, okay? Here's what I would encourage you not to do. I would encourage you not to do that, because you want to give yourself as many opportunities as you possibly can to let us know who you are and all of the things that you have had to deal with or push through. We really want to see, we really want to know as much as we can about you. And so if you kind of double dip, one, you're lazy, and then two, we don't get a chance to know the full scope of you. Y'all, you cannot wrap up your time spent within a 1-2 page essay. You can't do that. So why would you only give us the same information twice? Like, don't do that. So choose a different topic. For your sake, choose a different topic and give us some context. Terrell and I actually do reference the essay and your CARE responses. We look for how much information we can get to know and how much context you're able to provide.
And there's this misconception about admissions officers that, we don't read your essay. We do read your essays. So that's how, Faith said we were able to know you before you even step foot on our campus. So we read those essays because those are, ways for you to tell us additional context with your application. So if you write the same thing, we're going to know. And with the CARE essay, for example, we've seen students in the past that may have, answered those four short answer questions, but use those same answers in their essay as 4 different paragraphs. So don't do that. Use your essay as something totally different, and then answer those specific CARE questions, because we'll have a full scope of who you are as a student. And that's kind of a great segue into this next question. So it says, I'm a twin, so my sister and I have a lot of the same experiences, and therefore our essays will be similar. Will that affect how our applications are viewed?
It won't affect how your applications are viewed, because we view your applications the same. We're looking at the same things per student, right? But just because you're siblings and you have the same experiences does not mean that you have the same outlook, okay? And so, don't consider it as, oh, this is my sibling and we're twins and we have the same experiences. Oh, they're gonna think that we copy. No, we're not gonna think that. But what we would prefer to see is your outlook, because that is in fact different. Your experiences, everybody in the world experienced COVID-19, right? Every single person on this planet experienced COVID-19. But if you ask anybody to write an essay about COVID-19, it is going to be different. Okay, so keep that in mind if you have a sibling, especially a twin, who it might be applying to the same universities as you and competing for the same program. So keep that in mind.
Gotcha. So this is our last question in the chat as of now. So maybe some more questions come in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. So this is the last question. Does income affect admission into the CARE Summer Bridge program?
Yeah, it can. So the one thing about being qualified for CARE is that you do have to be Pell Grant eligible. And so for some of you, your income levels of your household may not qualify you for the Pell Grant. And because of that, you will then not be eligible to participate in the CARE Summer Bridge program. So it can in that aspect, but that's determined by the FAFSA. And so you need to complete the FAFSA in order to be able to know whether or not you're going to be Pell Grant eligible. So it really just depends on the household.
Right. And you need to complete the FAFSA every year. So as a CARE student, they can tell you they have to complete the FAFSA every October to make sure they have funding for that next school year. So you have to complete the FAFSA every year. Also, let's say, for example, you are admitted through the CARE Summer Bridge program and you are Pell eligible. Let's say that next year something changes and it slightly, changes your Pell eligibility. you will still be a member of CARE. It just will affect the funding that you will have for school. So that one, we won't take away your CARE label because you're not Pell eligible. That still will remain during your time at Florida State. So that wraps up our questions for the chat. I'll wait for a few minutes, but in the meantime, I'll ask you all kind of a closing question. So what piece of advice would you give a prospective student applying to college during this time?
Just that like no matter like what happens, whether you get into CARE or like not, like it's gonna work out like some way or another. Like even if you start with community college, even if you go local college and like, you know, you wanted to do CARE, like you want to do FSU or anywhere and it doesn't work out, like you'll be fine. Like you'll figure a way out to like get through it. Like that's, you know, this whole thing about CARE is like the resilience and like, you know, finding something better for yourself than what you had to like go through before. So I always like freak out about everything. Like I never thought that I was ever gonna be going to like such a well-known school as like FSU. Like I thought I'd be like some random like school no one ever heard of. That's the only school I could get into, and like here I am. Like FSU is like nationally known. So definitely like everything will work out like the way you want it, even if it's you take a different path. Like you'll still get to the end. So just don't freak out.
One piece of advice I would offer for applicants is like, it's just like she said, it's going to be okay. You know, like with quarantine, I feel like you could even see it on social media, it put a lot of people in some really bad places. And being first gen students, you know, we haven't gone through the easiest things, you know, it's not easy. And, you know, our past may have not been easy. It may have not been pretty. And quarantine may have forced us to think about that or be around people that may have witnessed that or even put us in those situations, you know? So coming out of quarantine and kind of adjusting to our old life, but also a new life, you know, like you have to trust yourself and be willing to accept things as well as progress. You know, you got to see growth. And with college, it's of course a stressful time as a senior, you know, but you have to still make growth because you're not done. You are not going to stop growing academically. You're not going to stop growing emotionally, physically. As a human, you're not going to stop growing, and you got to accept that. It's okay. And it's okay to put yourself in certain situations where you can grow positively or take yourself out of situations where you can grow negatively. Like you got to find that healthy balance and start learning who you are. Like that's one thing I would just say.
I think for me, it's like as soon as you know you are in college, it's just not being afraid. I think, you know, being put in college, it's such a different environment than you're probably ever going to experience. And I think you have to be able to step out of the zone and reimagine who you are and who you want to be. I think that's definitely it's an opportunity for you to understand who you are apart from your family, apart from your siblings, apart from your environment, your home environment, and who you want to be. It's very different, very difficult as a first generation student to kind of understand how you identify when it's your identity is based on your circumstances and your environment. So coming into college, I think I would just say, don't be afraid, be bold, be brave, be powerful, and take advantage of anything you're given.
My advice would be to just work hard, stay focused, because I promise you it will work out, like it will pay off in the long run. I am literally taking 16 credit courses, and I've been so tired, but I keep pushing because I know that in the long run, everything will pay off. I would also say to join as many clubs and organizations as you can, because like we were talking about earlier, networking is important. But yeah, just breathe, because honestly, I felt like when I first got to Florida State, I felt like I was I was very like hesitant about a lot, but now that I am here, I realize that like it's okay to make mistakes. Because I used to always be like, no, like I don't want, like it's okay, like I don't want to, you know, like I used to be like so afraid of like failure. But I realized over time, like, okay, it's okay to like mess up, because it's, you know, when we learn from our mistakes that truly matter.
I will touch on it as well. Like Shania said, you're gonna make mistakes once you get to college. Like you're gonna fall, and just know that it's okay to make mistakes once you're in college. It's just like how you bounce back and how you grow from those experiences, because care is all about being resilient. And as long as
Yeah.
you are remaining resilient within your journey here at FSU or wherever you choose to go, if it's not FSU, that's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to make the best out of your college experience, is growing and taking advantage of the opportunities that are around you and taking advantage of who you know and who knows you. So that would probably be my biggest advice, is to take advantage, like Ashley said as well, of the people that you know and who knows you, and networking with people to the best of your advantage.
My advice would be to stay calm during your senior year when applying to these schools, and especially to CARE, because senior year could be overwhelming. It could be overwhelming. Your parents could be like, "Where are you going to go?" Stressful, friends and teachers and family. So just stay calm and plan it out and make a goal and try to achieve that goal. Stay calm and apply. Put your heart in it. Anything is possible.
Cool, Sasha. Did you want to share a piece of advice as an admissions reviewer in terms of like what applicants can really take from this in terms of moving forward with the application?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a lot of you have already taken the first step, and it's just acquiring knowledge and information. Like that is the best thing that you can do in terms of preparing yourself for the admissions process. I kind of want to echo Quincy when he said, relax, be calm, because there are many choices that you all have. I know for a fact there's over 800 schools on the Common App, and so that's a lot, right? You have a lot of options. I would encourage you all to look into the resources, look into the organizations such as the bridge programs like CARE that you might be considering to find your fit. And just because your best friends want to go to Florida State or they want to go to another school does not mean that school is for you. And so you really now in this day need to do the research to find yourself at a particular university. I like to think it's easy to find yourself at Florida State, and I'm certainly biased to FSU. It is my alma mater, but I do encourage you all to just find yourself at the university. It's going to make us reading your applications a lot more pleasant, and it'll make you writing your essays and submitting your materials a lot more pleasant because you actually found yourself at the university. So I would encourage you to do your research, go on virtual tours. FSU does have a virtual tour that you can find directly on our website at visit.fsu.edu. So you can certainly do that. And then just navigate through the admissions page and just find yourself, at the university.
Cool. And my piece of advice, my students have probably heard me say this before. My piece of advice is comparison is the thief of joy. So do not compare your journey with anybody else. As a senior right now in high school, you all are going through a pandemic. Nobody else has gone through a pandemic before. So how can your story, how can you explain something to us that nobody else can say? So don't compare your journey to class of, CARE 19 or CARE 20 because, the requirements were, the same, but the process was different. So don't compare your journey because that can affect you. So each student has an individual race they're running. You have to realize it's a marathon and not a sprint. So don't compare your journey. And then at the end of the particular journey, you will know that your story is unique. You are powerful. You have a opportunity to reclaim your power. So as a first generation student, like myself, like Aisha, like everybody in this chat, you have power in your story. So use that story as fuel rather than as an excuse. So don't, take the pandemic as an excuse not to do well in school. Use that as fuel, saying, hey, there's a pandemic. Let me adapt on the fly. What can I do to help me in terms of getting to college? Because the end goal is not just getting to college. Everybody in this chat tells you the goal is to graduate from college, because now you're at a place where you're a college graduate. Now that generational curse has been broken. So don't compare your journey and just keep working hard. And, we'll see you once you complete your application with Florida State.
All right, so I do want to wrap up and just give you all some important information. I know for some of you might not have been able to join us at the very beginning of our conversation. And so I do want to give you some important dates. Again, y'all, our priority deadline is on December 1st, okay? December 1st, you do want to make sure that you have all of your materials in. That priority application deadline is also the final deadline for CARE, so be sure to have all of your materials in. Again, if you are testing in December, you can still use that December test to meet the priority application deadline, so long as everything else is complete. Okay, I do also want to offer you all an opportunity to connect with us. We do have a team of dedicated staff. If you haven't already heard from the students before, they mentioned Terrell a lot throughout their experiences. And so that is what our staff is here to do. We are here to assist you in any way that we possibly can. You can visit our website at admissions.fsu.edu. You can also email us at admissions@fsu.edu. Or you can just join our contact list. I know there were a few juniors and maybe some underclassmen on our live today. Go ahead and scan that QR code, join our contact list, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at fsu.admissions. We are also on Twitter at FSU And then you can also follow us or friend us on Facebook, and we are at FSU Admissions there as well. So again, make sure you follow us. And as a promise to what I told you before, you can reach Terrell, myself, and another one of our colleagues, Stephanie Moncada, at our emails provided to you on the screen. So definitely feel free to email us your questions. For the individuals who are looking to set up Zoom calls, you can contact any of us directly, and we're happy to set up a Zoom call with you as well. You'll also see the CARE department information there. I encourage you to reach out to CARE if you have any questions. Visit their website at care.fsu.edu. If you navigate through there, you'll see all the information that there is to know about the benefits, the requirements, and the overall Summer Bridge experience right there on our website. We want to thank you all so much for joining us. We've certainly enjoyed having you and answering all of your questions. We hope to see you at our next general admissions Q&A session coming up in the near future. So you'll be able to visit us and join us on November 16th, right here, same place, 5 o'clock, and we're happy to get your questions answered. Thank y'all so much and have a great rest of your night.